Hey, happy Friday. This week Apple launched their self-service repairs in an extremely Apple manner. The Google Pixel Watch got leaked in an extremely Google manner, and it was also earnings week, which means we got a lot of juicy numbers. Welcome to the Friday Checkout. Okay, my release highlights this week start with the Vivo X80 series, which was launched a month ahead of schedule, though only in China for now, with one other region announcing a launch for the 8th of May. They look like real flagships with a huge ultrasonic fingerprint sensor, a custom V1 Plus ISP, and Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 or the MediaTek Dimensity 9000 chips, depending on the region. Also this week in phones, the Poco F4 GT launched, a rebranded version of the Redmi K50 gaming phone, and this model is going for gaming as well, with a Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, a new cooling system, a flat 120Hz OLED screen, retractable shoulder triggers, all starting at a pretty decent €599 price tag. Then Nothing gave us a quote taste of Nothing OS by releasing a beta Nothing launcher, and wow, should they have just called this the almost Nothing. It's literally just custom wallpapers and icons that you can make really big. That's it. Oh well. In cuter and happier news, Snapchat now also has a new flying camera called the Pixie. The $230 drone is just 101 grams and can do only short flights. It looks kind of fun, but like the Spectacles, I'd probably use it like 3 times and then never again. And finally, HTC launched the surprisingly cool looking Vive Mars this week. It's basically a modified Vive controller that you can slap on top of a film camera or a light or any other prop in a Hollywood production set that then tracks their position, so filmmakers can automatically render 3D and green screen environments behind them. Pretty cool. Okay, and my first story of the week is going to be Apple finally launching their self-service repairs. Yes, it took Apple nearly 6 months to go from announcing its DIY repair options to actually launching them, but finally Apple parts, tools and manuals are available to purchase or download. Now, because this is Apple, there are of course a few catches. First, Apple is only offering repair stuff for its latest 3 iPhone series, the iPhone 12, the iPhone 13 and the iPhone SE 2022, and only in the US to start with. And not all parts are included yet, though at least you can get displays, cameras and batteries, for example, with Apple saying that the program will expand to its M1 Max later this year as well. And let's start with the good news. Apple's announcement points out that the parts ordered through this new system are identical to those used in its service centers at the same price, and the tools are the same that their technicians use as well, which you could either buy or even rent for $49 if you prefer. That's pretty cool. But then there are also a few odd details. First, the service isn't actually run by Apple. The site intentionally looks kinda weird and stock photo-y to my eye. There's not an Apple logo in sight, and it is registered to something called Spot, or Service Parts and Tools Inc., which seems to be owned by a logistics company. Second, you can't just go to the site and buy something. You need to enter an IMEI number just to order, so the parts kind of become specific to a phone. Third, the repair kits require a $1,200 deposit and come in giant heavy-duty cases, maxing out at a cool £79. And fourth, the parts aren't exactly cheap either. For example, as 9to5Mac has pointed out, an iPhone 13 Pro replacement battery bundle costs $71, while you can just go to Apple and have your battery replaced for less, $69. That said, if you send your old battery back to Apple to be recycled, you would get some money back, meaning that you would actually save about $22. Now, I don't want to complain too much because getting parts and manuals and everything, it's all a big step forward, but I feel like unless phone makers fundamentally change how our phones are made and repaired, this isn't really a practical option for most people, and most people will probably just have to take their phones into a shop anyway. Maybe Samsung and Google, who said that they'd partner with iFixit, will have a simpler system, since those guys are usually pretty easy to work with, but we'll see. Okay, and my second story of the week is going to be the crazy Pixel Watch story. So someone, seemingly from Google, accidentally left a boxed up Pixel Watch in a restaurant in Chicago, while the watch is only expected to launch next month at Google I/O. The device was handed over to a tech enthusiast called u/TechTech414 on Reddit, who leaked a bunch of pictures to Android Central and then to Reddit. He couldn't get it to charge, but he did have enough battery life just to see that it didn't load any software, and just about about everything else about the hardware was shown off, including measurements and details of the health tracking sensors. Since then, we've also heard that Google might release 3 versions of the Pixel Watch, with some kind of Google wearables listed on the Bluetooth SIG website, with 3 different model numbers and prices expected to be around $300 to $400. And then, perhaps concerningly, all the leaks of the Pixel Watch suddenly stopped, with the guy posting the following: "I won't be posting or responding regarding the Pixel Watch for the time being. It's been a pretty messed up day on that front. I don't want to say anything more about it at the moment, as I don't know how it is going to go." Oof. And all of this just feels very strangely constructed. I mean, who takes a product a month before it is launched in a box and leaves it in a restaurant with everything but the charging cable so you can show off all the hardware but not the software? Lucky for them, I suppose. It feels like a planted leak, but let me know down in the comments, or if you're watching on Nebula, just tweet at me whether you think it is an accident or a leak. Okay, and finally, it was also earnings week, so my last story will be a roundup of the most interesting numbers that I could find. First, Qualcomm showed 56% growth in its smartphone chip sales, partly related to more of its Snapdragon chips being used in the Galaxy S22 series, increasing their share from 40% to 75% globally. That's pretty crazy. Assuming that a Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 costs roughly $200 and Samsung sold, I don't know, 10 million units of the S22 series, I just made up both of these numbers, but I think they're roughly correct. Well, that bump alone would give them something like $700 million of extra revenue. Pretty insane. Qualcomm also said that all of its other businesses are growing quickly too, and especially automotive and IoT, but the bad news is that its Nuvia PC chips apparently won't be seen by customers until the end of 2023, which seems like a definite delay. Meanwhile, Samsung Electronics also saw its profits rising on the back of good S22 sales, up 20%, and apparently the memory division was their standout performer. The Facebook platform managed to reverse their user declines from the last quarter, but the company's Reality Labs division lost a further $2.96 billion in just 3 months, up about $1 billion or so from the previous quarter, which is quite a lot of money. And in terms of what's next, there's fresh news of Project Cambria, which will be Meta's new higher-end headset, which Mark Zuckerberg said is aiming to, quote, eventually replace your laptop and work setup in mixed reality. Then we had Microsoft, who had a fantastic quarter with basically everything growing. Office, Azure, LinkedIn, even Windows and Surface, despite slowing PC sales in general, Xbox, it's all up. With Microsoft saying that more than 10 million people have streamed games over Xbox Cloud Gaming. Not bad. Apple had an equally impressive quarter, with pretty much everything being up except for iPads, and overall revenue climbing 9% year over year. Alphabet had a mixed quarter, with search revenue rising, but YouTube revenue falling short of projections, and while Google didn't say the word TikTok even once, it did say that its TikTok clone in YouTube Shorts is now doing 30 billion views per day, up 4x over last year, and soon it will test ads in Shorts as well. I just hope that, unlike TikTok, they actually share their ad revenue with creators. And perhaps my favorite nugget comes from the Dutch company called ASML, which makes the machines that make many of our chips. The company's CEO said that he met an executive at a, quote, very large industrial company who told him that the company is, quote, buying washing machines to rip out semiconductors to put them into industrial modules. Buying washing machines just to crack them open and feast on the chips inside sounds like something out of a Mad Max dystopia. Alright, if you like curated tech news delivered to you weekly, then I think it's time to subscribe, and if you're feeling really wild, you should maybe even follow me on Twitter. Alright, I'll see you next week.